Hello everyone! Welcome to the Inspire Red channel, where we share knowledge about comprehensive self-development through great books. This week, we're going to explore the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. As many people know, habits can be a useful tool to help you advance in life, but they can also be obstacles that hold you back over time. It's not an exaggeration to say that if you can control your habits, you can control your life. Let's take a moment to reflect. Do you feel like you're progressing every day, or are you the same as you were a year ago, with little change or development? Building and maintaining habits is not a new topic, and Atomic Habits is probably familiar to many. Before reading this book, I explored many similar materials on habit formation, from psychological perspectives to practical techniques. The unique aspect of Atomic Habits is James Clear's way of conveying the message, with clear, practical, and concise arguments. The core value that stands out to me in this book is that changing yourself isn't just about sheer willpower, but about a transformation from the inside out, changing your very identity. Now, let's dive deeper into the useful ideas presented in this book. Famous American psychologist William James once said, "Sow an act, and you reap a habit. Sow a habit, and you reap a character. Sow a character, and you reap a destiny." Good habits will shape your life. However, we often overlook the small changes in life. We tend to convince ourselves that only big actions can bring success. As a result, many people fail to recognize the value of small daily improvements. This often leads to procrastination and loss of perseverance, as we don't realize the great potential of small changes. But these small things are the key to creating compound interest in our lives. The book also mentions a thought-provoking formula. If you can improve by 1% each day, by the end of the year, you could be 37 times better. Conversely, if you decline by 1% each day, your abilities will almost disappear. While some may see this as a theoretical analogy, I encourage you to try it yourself. Don't rush to conclusions before actually experimenting and realizing the value of small changes. In life, small changes can lead to significant results, because maintaining habits is essentially creating compound interest for yourself. When starting something new, we often idealize it, thinking the process will be a straight line upward, as everyone hopes to see immediate results. However, the reality is that forming a good habit is more like a curve. And initially, this curve may dip. At the beginning of changing a habit, you might not see a noticeable difference, and this can lead to discouragement and doubt about the value of your efforts. This is the valley of disappointment, where many people give up halfway. However, if you persist through this phase, you will see positive results once you reach the tipping point. This is akin to the philosophical law of transforming quantity into quality. Continuous small changes will lead to significant outcomes. Imagine building a habit like growing a bamboo tree. In the first 5 years, the bamboo barely grows, no matter how ideal the conditions, as it's busy establishing deep roots. After this period, it can grow up to 27 meters in just 6 weeks. The initial years are for accumulating potential, and the rapid growth afterward is a result of this foundation. So, live like the bamboo tree, always remembering that even small changes have value. Focusing only on the end goal can lead to failure. When you only look at the desired outcome, it's like trapping yourself in a narrow perspective, thinking, "I'll only be happy when I achieve this goal." This mindset acts like a chain, delaying your happiness. And even when you reach the goal, you might feel let down. This happens because you're already aiming for the next milestone, and the initial motivation fades once the goal is reached. Many then fall back into old habits. This is why many people revert to old habits after achieving a goal. You need to remember that the purpose of building habits isn't just to reach a specific goal, but to create a sustainable and continuous system of habits. How do you build such a system? I'll explain this in more detail later. First, stop thinking only about the outcome when forming habits. The best way to maintain motivation is to focus on the process and the present. You don't need to wait for success to feel happy. Find joy in the journey and throughout the process of maintaining your habit. With this mindset, you'll find it easier to persevere. The key to maintaining long-term habits is understanding yourself. Research shows that every action reflects a system of beliefs and personal values. If your actions don't align with your identity and beliefs, they won't last. So, what does this mean? To change behavior, you must first identify your identity and beliefs. Your identity and beliefs dictate your actions, and the stronger the belief, the more consistently the behavior is repeated. This clarity strengthens your identity, creating a sustainable growth loop. For example, if you want to maintain a running habit, identify yourself as an athlete. If you want to read more to write great content, see yourself as a creator. Without understanding yourself before taking action, you're more likely to get discouraged and quit. Habits reflect who you are, so define who you want to become and build a habit system that aligns with that vision, creating a happy and fulfilling life. From this perspective, we need to recognize that labeling ourselves or others can be harmful. For instance, when parents scold their child for being lazy, they're labeling the child. Labels like lazy, careless, or playful can become self-fulfilling prophecies, and if repeated enough, they may become reality. To understand how habits form, the book The Power of Habit outlines 4 basic steps: cue, craving, response, and reward. For example, when you hear the notification sound of a Facebook message, you crave to know who messaged you. That's the craving. You then pick up the phone and check it, which is the response. Finally, reading the message gives you satisfaction, which is the reward. Reflect on this. Do most of our daily actions follow these 4 steps of habit formation? This includes actions like dressing, putting on shoes, turning on lights, brushing teeth, or snacking. The scary part is that once a habit forms, it becomes difficult to break. For instance, you might plan to read 20 pages in the evening, but as soon as you sit on the sofa, you grab your phone, lie down, turn on the air conditioner, and open Facebook. Then you continue to scroll through TikTok, and suddenly, the whole evening is gone. These actions are part of a pre-existing habit chain, causing you to act automatically without thinking. Thus, understanding the principles of habit formation is crucial to overcoming bad habits and effectively building good ones. So, how do you act correctly? Let's explore the 4 steps to maintaining habits. The first step is to make the habit obvious. In reality, sight is the most dominant sense, accounting for up to 90% of our sensory perception. By maximizing this advantage, you can succeed in the cue stage of habit formation. For example, if you want to develop a reading habit, but the books are piled up in the corner and only seen when needed, how can you develop this habit? To make the habit an essential part of your life, you need to place books in visible places so they frequently appear before your eyes. For instance, I like to place books in all visible and easily accessible places, such as on the sofa, on the TV shelf, on the bedside table, on the study desk, or on the bookshelf anywhere that's at eye level. I also carry a small book in my backpack, so I can easily grab it and read whenever I have free time. This principle also applies to changing bad habits. You need to remove the triggers from your life. For example, if you often crave snacks in the afternoon, especially those working in offices, instead of buying sugary treats or milk tea, prepare fruit and nuts in advance. Place them where they are easy to see and reach. This way, you can supplement your energy while maintaining your figure and health. When you no longer see junk food, you'll be less tempted. Similarly, removing triggers like games or addictive apps will make it easier to eliminate bad habits. The second step is to make the habit irresistible. A key formula here is to stack habits and incorporate them with interests. For example, after changing out of work clothes, you can put on sneakers and head to the gym. Or after drinking a cup of coffee, you can spend an hour reading. Combining interests means pairing the habit you need to do with the habit you want to do. Personally, I'm quite lazy when it comes to writing a journal, but I love taking photos. So, I often capture beautiful and interesting moments throughout the day, then write a few lines to accompany the photos. This method helps me preserve memories vividly and maintain both habits joyfully. At this point, writing a journal becomes the habit I need to perform, while taking photos is the habit I want to do. In psychology, this method is known as Premack's principle, a concept developed by Professor David Premack. It refers to using high-frequency behaviors to reinforce low-frequency behaviors. This approach makes the habit more appealing. So, if you're struggling to control your cravings, what should you do? The answer is to leverage the power of groups. Remember that our ancestors couldn't survive alone? They always needed the support of tribe members to feel safe and comfortable, whether facing wild animals or natural disasters. The need to establish strong connections with others is deeply rooted in us. Based on this, you can leverage the power of groups to eliminate bad habits. For example, you can join a running club or a group with similar interests, or enroll in a class. If you don't participate regularly, you might be reminded or even excluded from the group. This sense of accountability motivates people to be more diligent and proactive to avoid being left out. Now, let's move to the third step in habit transformation, making everything easier. The main principle here is to reduce the difficulty of actions. If you want to maintain a gym habit, don't get too caught up comparing prices, equipment, or the quality of personal trainers at different gyms. Choose the one nearest to your home where you can easily go to work out. Minimize resistance by optimizing your environment. Also, apply the 2-minute rule from the start. You need to understand that in life, there are always decisive moments. These moments can make a significant difference in your life, such as choosing to cook at home or order out, ride a bike or drive to work, browse the phone or read a book. These decisive moments are the crossroads of your life. A good or bad day often depends on these chains of decisions. If you accumulate more correct moments during the day, they will lead to a completely different outcome. Therefore, the author advises that when starting a new habit, don't spend too much time initially, just start with 2 minutes to avoid feeling overwhelmed. Instead of forcing yourself to read a book every night before bed, you can say, read 1 to 2 pages. This 2-minute rule helps you begin with a small first step. Maintaining habits can be challenging, but when you start easily, the following actions will naturally occur. Small, modest actions are actually very powerful. You must believe that when you start doing the right things, everything will become easier. Conversely, if you want to break a bad habit, you need to create obstacles for it. If you can't stop using your phone, delete time-consuming apps. If you can't stop playing games, make it harder to access them. The final step in transforming habits is to make them enjoyable. We need to understand that bad habits are hard to break because they often provide immediate gratification. For example, playing games can make you feel accomplished when you pass levels, or eating sweets immediately satisfies your taste buds. However, our brains often underestimate the long-term dangers, like a frog in slowly boiling water not realizing it's being cooked. Bad habits bring immediate pleasure, but the consequences later can be dire. On the other hand, good habits don't provide instant satisfaction, but offer long-term and sustainable benefit. Therefore, be cautious with things that bring quick pleasure. The sooner you question whether they offer long-term benefits, the better. To build a good habit, add a little short-term joy to habits that bring long-term benefits. Conversely, add discomfort and pain to bad habits. An effective way to increase immediate satisfaction is to regularly track your habit progress. Simply use a habit tracker and place it in a visible spot. Mark off each time you successfully complete an action. This simple act serves as a mental reward, helping you continually improve. However, there are 2 important points to remember. First, persevere even when it's tough. As long as you don't give up, you still have a chance to maintain your identity. Quitting twice in a row can lead to the formation of a bad habit. Second, don't let the measure become the goal. When a measure becomes the goal, it loses its effectiveness. For example, if a company only focuses on KPIs, employees may only strive to hit the numbers without actually working effectively. Similarly, if you merely go through the motions to complete a habit tracker, it won't have any real meaning. Tracking is just the beginning and a method to form good habits, but it shouldn't be the end goal. Don't live just to track. and don't live solely focused on the goal. Overall, the video summarizing the book is quite complete.